everyone, it's Rella from Rella's Wondercrafts, and today I will be showing you my version of the Galaxy Tumbler. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and get right to it. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started on this Galaxy Tumbler. So this is one I had previously made for a customer. So just a bit of a backstory with these tumblers. I had done quite a bit of research on tutorials for these tumblers, and there really wasn't one that did exactly what I was wanting it to. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking bits and pieces from other tutorials and adding my own twist to it. So for this tutorial, I'm going to go over, all the steps that I did for this and a previous Galaxy Tumbler that I had done. And I'll show you everything that I do with it, all the steps, including what I add to the epoxy. Because these are alcohol inks, but I also add mica powders as well. So the mica powders is what kind of gives it this shimmer and this shine to it. I think this one I did use a little extra mica powder, but moving forward I had adjusted the way I did it. And of course you can take my tutorial, you can follow it exactly as I do, or you can put your own spin on it. I have added glitter underneath before and then done the galaxies added to that as well. So I am actually making this tutorial for a Tumbler group that is very dear to my heart, that I absolutely love this group. So if you guys are from the Tumbler group, hi, I'm Rella. I do have my own little crafting business on the side, and if you're a part of the group, you know how fantastic the group is, and I'm super excited to be able to actually do a tutorial for everyone, because there are so many people that's in that group that I admire and I look up to, and you guys are such motivation and inspiration for myself, and I'm sure many others. So yep, I was beyond excited when I was getting those comments that, you all wanted a tutorial for this. This is one of my favorite tumblers I've done, one of my proudest. So super excited to show you guys how to do this. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook. If you're watching as a YouTube video, you can comment in the sections as well. So just feel free to do that. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So I have a black base wine tumbler. This is an Ozark tumbler that I bought from Walmart. I sanded it as a stainless steel tumbler. I used 120 grit, sanded it, and then just spray painted this black with a Rust-Oleum spray paint. It's called Eclipse. Really doesn't matter what kind of black spray paint you use. The Rust-Oleum is just my preferred spray paint. So what I do is I do use white acrylic paint, and this is mainly just for the places that I want the nebulas to be. And now the thing, because you can see right here, like that light color right there, that is acrylic white paint underneath. Now I have found that the issue with the white acrylic paint is that once you have it on, it doesn't matter if, like, this has been my experience, it does not matter if you let it set overnight. One of the other ones that I did, I let it set overnight and let it dry that long, and it still came off with the alcohol inks. So I'm sure that's probably due to, the alcohol being put on it, but for me, it just didn't matter how long the acrylic paint dries, it still comes off. And for me, that's fine. If you don't want this acrylic paint to come off, I would highly recommend sealing this before you put your alcohol inks on. But I do like the fact that it does come off a bit as I'm applying the alcohol inks, because it kind of just gives it this more spacey, just like this spacey, crazy look to it. I don't even know the right words for it, but like there are some places where it's dark and other places where it's light, and in those dark places it looks like that nebula kind of breaks up, like you can see within a true nebula. So for me, it's a good thing. But if you don't like that, that's fine as well. That's not a big deal. It's really whatever you prefer. And I've noticed that that kind of goes along with almost honestly anything that you do when it comes to art. Because these tumblers are a piece of art and they never come out the same way twice. I mean, it has to be super, super, super basic in order for it to come out the exact same way. So, as you can see right here, I'm just kind of adding some white, and I'm just dabbing. I'm not doing anything special, just dabbing away. And this is where I'm going to have my colors. So I'm going to show you a few photos. So I've made 3 tumblers like this, same colors. And the only difference to one of them was that I added glitter as a base and then the alcohol inks on top. So with that one, I glittered, then epoxied, then added the inks. And so with this one, the one that's in the group, in my Tumbler group that I'm a part of, just so you guys know what I used on this one, on that one, I did use Pinata. I used that blue. Sorry, I have a lot of inks here, so. And I also use white as well. And as I go through this one, you'll see kind of what I use the white for. So these are all Pinata. Oops, sorry guys. These are all Pinata. I use this green as well. So it is Rainforest Green. I know my camera isn't the best. There we go, Rainforest Green. And I also use magenta on that one. And purple on that one as well. And that's for, oops, sorry guys. That's for all of these colors. So, and it was just honestly just a mix of the colors. And the customer that wanted this galaxy done, she printed off a nebula for me to kind of look off of. So I'm doing something a little different today. I found this one, which is the Phoenix Nebula. From my understanding, I think it's super pretty. I wanted to have some orange and gold and yellow hues to mine, as well as that blue. And then here's another one. And this is kind of just for reference. I don't ever make them look exactly like this, but it kind of gives me, so like for the Phoenix, it gives me that that shape. So I'm going to be trying to do a similar shape. It won't be the exact same, but just like a similar kind of outline of it. And then this I'll probably do on the other side. I just really like those colors, and I really like the red and the orange. I think they're very pretty. So this side, I'll go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and fill in all of this. So we'll probably go ahead and speed this up as I go. If I have anything to add in, I'm sure you'll hear it. So So as you guys can see, I'm really honestly just dabbing away. I'm dabbing and dabbing and dabbing and dabbing and dabbing. And it's just a lot of dabbing. It is a lot of dabbing. And you don't have to necessarily do it this way. You might know of another way that's easier, but in order to kind of get that cloudy effect, you know, right here, I just dab away. I mean, that's our kids' favorite things to do, right? They dab in a sense of victory. I don't know about your guys' kids, but my oldest son dabs all the time. And it's super funny to watch sometimes. So anyways, you see how, and once I will get super off track sometimes, so I do apologize. But you see, like, as the paint starts to come off, it kind of has a lighter cloud to it that I like really, really well. And that lighter kind of cloud really gives it some room to fade out like a nebula does. So like, you know, on here, here, I'll show you what I mean by that. So like on here, how you have this bright yellow color, this orangish color, and then goes, so I'm just going to call this yellow. So like we have yellow, it kind of comes up into this orange, and then it kind of fades out. So that's kind of the idea that I had as I was going through that very first one that I did. And like I said, I wanted something that resembled a true nebula, not just, you know, I didn't want to just do blotches of white and then add glitter to it and, you know, give it that ombre effect, which I love the ombre, but it just wasn't, like, I wanted something that looked like a true kind of nebula. And doing it this way, to me, just really brought that out. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit in here, kind of let it fade. And I mean, even right here, it kind of goes down. You guys can see that. It goes down in a way. So I won't necessarily follow that, but now this is the first time I'm using these colors on a Galaxy tumbler. But so I'm just kind of bringing it down. Now some of this is going to just go away as I add the alcohol inks to it, and that's okay. And I also use my fingers. I'll use, you know, cotton balls and not toothpicks, Q-tips, and just all kinds of stuff. Because doesn't have to be perfect. So that's what I have so far to kind of go along with that phoenix down here. It's not exactly the same. It's not meant to be because I do want it to be my own. And I have this side over here that's going to be not exactly like this, but I'm going to use those I'm going to use those. Sorry, let me start over. I'm going to use those colors. And I'm going to add just spots throughout the rest of this, doing that same kind of dabbing technique. Okay, so I think I'm at a pretty happy place with this. And you don't have to make them nearly as big as I did here. And you see I got some down the bottom. I've got my Phoenix here and just a few other places. Now I didn't want a lot of white everywhere because I do actually add some of those alcohol inks to the black parts of it, and I will also be adding mica powders as well. And all of that you will see as the video goes on. So I'm going to stop this for a few minutes here, let this dry for a bit, and then I'll get right back to it. You guys won't even know I'm gone. Be right back. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started on the colors. I have not used these colors before, so I'm not entirely sure how they're going to look. Please hold. Where's my... Okay. I had to get a cup. All right. Okay. So I did go ahead and hit this with my heat gun. And in case you don't know what that is, this is a heat gun. And it just gives off really hot heat. And I just use that to kind of dry it up a bit. It's not really going to matter too much, just because, like I said earlier, that the alcohol kind of makes that go away. So you can tell I use this on epoxy. Okay. All right. So I have my little plastic cup, and I have 70% alcohol. It is typically recommended to use 90-91% alcohol for alcohol inks. However, due to the lovely pandemic that's been going on, I do not have access to 90% alcohol. So I've been using 70% and it's been working so far for me, so that's good. Okay, so to achieve somewhat of this color, I don't expect it to be exactly. I did pick out a few different colors here that I'm going to kind of play around with. We'll kind of see what happens. I just said kind of like 20 times, and I apologize. So I don't know how everything's going to flow. This is a fun little experiment for the both of us, I suppose. So I did go ahead and grab Pinata Orange. There we go. Pinata Orange. I grabbed black just in case. I probably won't use very much of the black. It's very rare that I have to use the black on these anyways. But sometimes I get overly excited when I'm putting those colors on, so there's that. I'm also going to use white for this one as well. So, and we'll go ahead. Now, I probably won't use all of these colors. As I go through, I'll tell you which one I'm using. I'll try to keep track of each one as I'm going through. Sometimes when I start doing these, I just start adding colors and throwing stuff on there. I also have yellow here, which is my favorite color. I say that, but I'm always more inclined to pink and purple and yellow. Let's see. And I also have Pinata Gold. So these are the Pinata brands I'm using. I'm also using other brands as well. Now this is just going to be for the Phoenix side, because the other side of this will be used with different colors. And my children that sound like banshees right now running around. They just got back home and they're gems. They're great. I'm also going to be using Ranger Poppy Field. This is the first time I'm using this color, so I'm not sure how bright it's going to be. And then, so Bria Reese as well, and it's called Sky, and also Peach. I know I have a lot of colors here, guys, but I don't know which one's gonna look best. And I will say, I love Bria Reese. love breweries. I don't know. I think it's the colors, the vibrancy of the colors. I did get, so I should probably mention this too. The alcohol inks, the pinata. I bought the pinata on Amazon. It came in a pack. It was like $25 maybe, somewhere in that range. And then the breweries, one of these came from Hobby Lobby, the other one came from Michael's. And then the Ranger came from Michael's. So that's where I got those. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to start on the Phoenix side of this. So I'm going to try my best to keep to these colors. So kind of like the orange, red, blue kind of colors. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully I can keep this at angle. I also use cotton balls for these. So I go through a ton of cotton balls. And I mean, I just bought these from Walmart, just a cheap brand. I mean, like the label's worn out. That's how long we've had these. So we never use cotton balls for anything else. So why not for my crafts, right? Right. I agree. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me see here. So I'm just going to put my paper here for reference. And I think I'm going to start, honestly, in the middle with that kind of yellow color. Like I said, I don't expect it to be exactly the same. But I like for it to be similar. So I'm going to put it right here. And I kind of have to play around a little bit too. So like I'll add some to the cup itself. And just, sorry guys, didn't mean to be out of the sight there. Off camera. And I'm just dabbing. Once again, just dabbing away. Okay. So we've got some of that yellow in there. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so just dabbing. I'm going to add a little bit more. And I haven't even added the alcohol to this yet. Yes.
I thought you said something to me.
Yeah, I said to keep it down because you're being super loud. I'm trying to record.
Sorry.
You should be. I'll knife hand you. Okay. All right. So we've got some yellow on there. I'm sure I'm going to come back around to this yellow as well. But I have not even added the alcohol to it just yet. So, all right, let's go ahead and get some of that orange in there. A little bit orange. So yellow is my favorite color and orange is my husband's favorite color. Yay. I'm hoping this turns out pretty well. So you see some of the orange. Now I will be adding the alcohol inks to it here soon. This is kind of just to give it some of that orange color to it. And as you can see, I am literally just dabbing. I'm not doing anything spectacular, just dabbing. And sometimes, and you can kind of see already, like right here, where some of that is coming off. And that's okay. That's not that big of a deal. Unless you don't like that. If you don't like that, then you'll have to add some sealer to it. And that's okay. You do whatever you like, whatever you think looks best. So I'm gonna do this. Now this is that poppy field, that red. That's definitely a red color. I mean, you guys can see, like, all I'm doing is just adding color. I'm going to dab this for a bit, and then I'll go ahead and add some alcohol to it. And that will cause it to blend really, really well. So, there's the red. I'm going to add a little bit of gold, and then I'm going to start blending a bit. Now, I also do not use gloves. I don't. You can if you want to, obviously. I don't, just because I kind of feel like they just take away from, I don't know, my artsiness, from control, I suppose. So now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the gold, oh, I don't think you can see it. The gold kind of gives it this shimmer that I think is going to look beautiful right on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and add some some alcohol to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one aside, and I'm going to get a fresh one to add that ink. And now I kind of just dip my cotton in here, and then I squeeze it out a bit. Now this is where it gets fun. I'm going to start adding those colors to kind of line it up. Get some of that gold. Let's see, let's do orange. Sorry, I should have just left the lids off. Okay, so I added some yellow. I thought the yellow might be a little harder to see, but it's kind of coming out okay. Now I'm just adding a few drops here and there, nothing crazy. So this is where I would add some of that white. And the white is just to help this lighten up a bit. And you can make that decision if you want it to be lighter, if you don't, totally up to you. Sometimes it takes quite a bit of the white too to get that line up. So far, I really like the way it almost looks like a sunset, which I think is very pretty. I'm going to start adding some of the gold to it. That's not gold. Oopsie. See, I'm already making a mess. See all that? Where's that gold? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna get started on down here with the blues. And as you can see, this one has some blue at the bottom of it. So that's what I'm gonna work on a bit here. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start this one off with probably the magenta blue. Or sorry, not the magenta. I'm gonna start this one off with the pinata blue. Now, since the alcohol is already on this, it's probably gonna spread. So from the yellow, it is turning to be a little bit of a green. But that's okay. I can fix it. So as I was working on this, the bottom actually ended up turning out a bit more green than I wanted it to be, which if that's the look you're going for, it was actually really pretty. It looked like rainbow. But that's not exactly the look I was going for, so I went ahead and just added additional white acrylic here to kind of help bring more of the blue out. So, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll run into a few snags here and there. You just kind of have to touch it up and work on it a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all part of doing this and learning what's best, and because this right here, like I said, these are new colors for me. I haven't used these before. But a lot of this is just dabbing and just blending the colors. So I don't think I'm going to touch that anymore. I'm going to start working on this bottom here. Let's get a new one. So I just want to be careful in this bottom part here. Sometimes I dab pretty hard, you guys. You could probably hear it on the video, on the sound. And it's just, it gives it that really galaxy kind of look to it. So I didn't quite get that blue, but that's okay. I can always go back and I can add more in once this is completely dry, which I think is what I'm gonna do. So that's that side so far. And I'm gonna go ahead and work on this other side. And it's gonna be the same kind of dabbing technique. I am gonna go ahead and use some of the blues and the pinks and whatnot and do this side. Just make sure whenever you're dabbing you get a nice good dab, because you don't want it to, I notice whenever you do alcohol inks, they kind of blend too much together sometimes, which is fine if that's the look that you're going for, but we're trying to get that cloudy kind of look. Not like the wispy clouds, but the crackly clouds. I don't know. Something like that. So that's what I'm kind of working towards right now with this is, and that's the reason why I'm dabbing so hard. It's because I'm trying to make sure we're keeping that same kind of effect. So I do want to line up the inside just a bit, so I'm going to add a little bit more white. And that white just allows, see what it did? It allows just a little bit. And there we go. See? So I think this is turning out really pretty. But that's how you do that nebula. I mean, you just take the colors and you spurt them in different places, and you make sure you dab really hard. I know it sounds crazy, but like when you dab, it allows that kind of harsh effect that a nebula sometimes has with it. And that's how I do that part of the galaxy. So it's very pretty. And you can use greens, you can use whatever color you want. I mean, on this side, I use 2 different colors. So I think they turned out really pretty. I'm just going to use something. So, which I kind of like the green effect to it now. I was kind of going for that blue, but I kind of like that green. Green's one of my favorite colors as well, so yeah. So I'm going to work on this a bit more, get some more of those colors in there. And you see I'm just dabbing the crap out of it. It's kind of cathartic. If you're ever super mad, this is the cup for you, man. So I'm going to add a little bit of color to it. And this is mainly experimentation on this side to kind of see what looks the best, what works out for it. Okay, so I don't want to mess with this part anymore. I kind of like that really red look to it. I like the way it's coming out. I might add a little bit orange to this side because it's pretty dark. But then again, I really like that. So it's totally up to you. If you like the way it looks, you can keep it that way. I'm kind of indecisive. If I want to keep it that way, I might add a little bit of white to it just to kind of line that part up a bit. But I'm going to go back through and I'm going to add some colors to this. Kind of the same thing that I'm doing like I did with this side. This is just all kinds of colors, isn't it, guys? Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to take just a small break. Okay, so I went ahead and decided to keep that dark color because I actually really like it. I kind of jumped off screen for a moment just to ask my husband what he thought, and he really liked it. He thought it was really cool looking. I also love, so I added some gold down here at the bottom, and you can kind of just like see it ripple out, and I absolutely love that. And it's just a lot of dabbing, a lot of process. These colors just, they blend a lot better. They're easier to blend together. You can add more magenta and then more, or like even just pink, like the Brea Reese pink. You can get that and you can add it to this and just blend it, add some white, make it lighter. It's the way, it's whatever you want to do with it. I mean, with this cup, honestly, the sky is the limit. You can see over on this side, I mean, it looks amazing. Like, I am really impressed with the way that these colors blended and came out. You guys have seen where I kind of messed up down here. I added some of that white, but it came out and this is how it looks now. I think it looks great. So I'm going to go back through and add colors to these spots. You guys can add whatever colors you want to these white spots here. I added some additional white spots down here at the bottom, and that was just something, it kind of helps me know where I want to put the mica powders. And this video is also going to have those mica powders, so just set tight, or skip forward if you want to get over to that section. I'm going to go ahead and run through these real quick. I'll go ahead and have this be a fast forward portion. So I'm going to run through these real quick. Okay guys, so I'm all finished with all of the different spots, all the white spots. So as you can see, I really just was dabbing through the whole thing. I kept some of the white spots open, like right here, just for, it's just to have those white spots there. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I go to add the mica powders. So, and it's to kind of make them look like stars. I'm knocking everything over. So, and that is how you do the alcohol ink part of the Galaxy tumbler. You can also very easily just go back through once this is, if you want to seal this, you can go back through and you can add more alcohol inks to it. Just to give it more color or more definition if you wanted to. I don't find it necessary for this because once you add the epoxy to it, I mean, it gives its own definition. So I absolutely I love the way that this has turned out. I do think this actually turned out looking like a phoenix, which was the goal. And sometimes, I mean, I had the intention of it looking like a phoenix, but just looking at it here, that looks like his beak and his head and his body, and then you have the tail. Like, this turned out beautiful. And you guys watched how I did it. So there you go. That's how I do my Galaxy tumblers. I am going to go ahead and add the epoxy portion of this. I know quite a few people in the Tumbler group already know how to epoxy, but I am going to show it just because of those mica powders. Okay, so it's been a few days. I have let this set for a few days just so the alcohol inks do dry. Now is the time to go ahead and epoxy this. So I'm not going to go over the steps on how to epoxy just because I'm going to make another tutorial on how exactly to mix your epoxy and the best way to do that. So with this part of the video, we'll be putting the epoxy onto it, and I will also be adding mica powders to this as well. And I'm just going to show you the technique I use for this particular tumbler and kind of how to get that shimmer to it. So I do have 40 cc's here. If you're doing just the tumbler, you do not need that much at all. Maybe 10 to 15 for just a light coat. I mixed 40 because I have two others over here that I need to put some epoxy on, and this one is my first layer of epoxy, so it's going to need quite a bit here. Okay, so the epoxy that I'm using for this is from Counterculture. It is art resin, and the bottles are also from Counterculture as well. I really like this epoxy. It is a bit more expensive than your traditional epoxies such as Amazing Clearcast or Pro Marine, but when it comes to the shine, I just feel like the shine is just this more crisp and clear and vibrant shine. And I mean, we did the comparisons between two of the Galaxy tumblers, and if I still had the other Galaxy tumbler, I'd show you. I might be able to show it with this one later into the video, but we'll just kind of have to see where I'm at time-wise. So, okay, so I went ahead, like I said, I mixed the epoxy, and I'm going to go ahead and start adding it onto the epoxy, or onto the tumbler. I used to use gloves when I was doing this, but I've stopped using gloves because I think you can get extra small gloves. I have, teeny tiny hands, so even the smalls are too big for me. So I got these little finger cots, and actually it came along with this silicone cup and these plastic spoons. It was a bundle that I had gone on Amazon. It wasn't very much, maybe I want to say maybe $20, if that. So, and I ended up getting, it might have been more than 20. I don't exactly know, but I ended up getting 6 of these cups, these silicone cups, and they do have the measuring lines right here on the side of it. So I got 6 of these. I got this little blue mat. I received 6 of the plastic spoons, the finger cots, and also these little cups, which I like these little cups for molds. So if I'm going to make a bear keychain or some kind of, keychain to go along with my tumblers, I'll put the glitter into these and then pour it in that way. These are also, for me, I use these a lot for the straw toppers. So typically if I fill it up all the way to the top, it'll fill up an entire straw topper mold. So that's what I use those for. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Everyone does their epoxy on their tumblers different. I start out just as kind of like this base sort of coat. I just go around and add it. And this tumbler will need probably 1 or 2 more additional coats just from where I use the cotton ball. Some of the cotton ball did stick to it, but that's not going to be a big deal. It won't actually come through, like you won't be able to see it under the epoxy. And I've made plenty of these to know that is the case. So if it's a little bumpy, that's okay. It's not a huge deal. make sure you get that bottom too. And if you add logos to the bottom of your tumblers, this is the time to go ahead and add your logo to the bottom of it. Which for me, I have pre-cut adhesive white vinyl circles that I add to the bottom of mine. Like, it's so easy, I can literally just take it off the page and put it right onto the tumbler. And I also printed off some sticker paper, cleared sticker paper that I bought from Amazon, and I printed off my logo onto that paper. And I used Rust-Oleum clear coat to seal the ink, because I noticed that if I didn't do that, if any water, like even if you rub it without water in your finger, it just smeared and it did not look good. So, and even adding the epoxy onto that sticker, it's not smearing it or anything. It looks great. And I use Rust-Oleum. I know I just said that, but just as a reminder, if you didn't hear it the first time, I do use Rust-Oleum clear coat. Now, with this part of the tumbler, you can use, there's an epoxy that you can get from Counterculture. They use, they also sell a quick coat, which is epoxy, but instead of it taking, 5 hours to wait on epoxy to cure, or not to cure, but to like dry, not be tacky anymore, to move on to your next step, that one allows you to work on it much quicker. So instead of 5 hours, it's 2 hours, and you can just move straight on to your next step after that. So 5 hours to 2 hours is a pretty big difference, especially if you have all day to work on your tumblers and that's what you're doing. And it really does make a big difference. I personally do not have the quick set. I can't remember exactly what it's called, guys. I'm sorry for that. It's either quick coat or quick set, but it's an epoxy, and I don't have it just yet, mainly because at this time I'm still at a full-time 40-hour-a-week job, so it doesn't hurt me to just let this set. I'm going to add just a little bit more to this. Let's make sure I have a decent coat on it, because I'm going to start spinning this here in just a minute. And I'll be adding the mica powders to this. I'm also going to add just a little bit of glitter as well. And that's just to give it a little bit more of a shimmer. And I do notice that when I add some glitter to it, it kind of makes it look a bit more like it's more starry. Okay. So I think we're at a good spot here with this. I'm gonna let it turn here for a few minutes. So let's actually make sure it's okay. Oh, if it'll spin the right way. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna let this spin for a few minutes just so it evens out before I start on those mica powders. And also, just a fair warning, if you do end up using that, the other epoxy I was just talking about, the quick set or the fast set, or whatever it's called, if you end up using that epoxy, you may not have enough time to add the mica powders to it. So if that's the case, if you want to add mica powders to it, you may want to just use regular epoxy instead of the other kind. So, but if you don't want to use mica powders, then you are more than welcome to use that quick set. So I'm going to let this spin for a few minutes here, and I'm going to work on this other cup while this is spinning. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got some popsicle sticks here from mica powders. And the main one that I use is silver white, and that is from Mr. Nola's Glitter. And I just ordered a bundle of these mica powders just to try different colors. So I don't remember how much that one was, but that was from Mr. Nola's Glitter. So this still has some bumps and stuff in it just from the cotton balls, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this popsicle stick and I'm gonna dip it into the powder. Not, like, you don't have to get very much at all. Like, as you can see, well, maybe you can see, but like, I don't have very much on there, if you can see that. So, and I will find a spot that I like on here, and then I will actually just blow the mica powder onto it. So, just like that. And you just get this burst of shimmer. I'll bring the video a little bit closer, just so you guys can get an idea of what it looks like. So, let's see. Now sometimes I'll add a little bit extra. When I add the extra, it kind of blows out an additional, like, some of that mica powder onto the tumbler. And when it does that, it kind of gives this more of a star effect to it. So it kind of looks like you have these little shooting stars going across, which I really like that look to it. And I'm not adding very much to this popsicle stick at all. Here, let me see if I can get a... So I don't know if you can see that, but like, there's hardly anything on it. And you just blow the powder right off of it. Okay. So I'm also going to add, where is it? Red gold as well. I'm just going to do the same exact thing. Not very much. when you first blow this onto it, it doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot. But once you add another layer of epoxy to it, you can actually see some of that shimmer. And it's faint enough that it doesn't take over the cup, but you can still like just see that hint of the color, which I like. But if you can work fast with the mica powders, you can use that quick set epoxy. I'm not quick yet with it, and I'm such a perfectionist with some of this stuff. It's better for me just to use the regular epoxy.
Are you not talking right now?
I'm good. I'm about to, though.
Just hold on 1 second.
Can we pause it?
No. Anytime when you're not talking, I speed up or cut out.
Okay.
So we're good.
I'm gonna add some glitter to this as well. And I don't have very much in there at all. This is just a silver glitter that I bought from Walmart. It's not going on one of my glitter cups, so I usually use just like the cheaper glitter for like small things like this. So, and I'm not gonna add very much, just a little bit. Like I'm just gonna pinch some out and just kind of.
Wife.
What?
What did you say?
Yes, I'm talking to the camera. So I'm gonna pinch some out here and just kind of scatter it around a little bit. And you don't even have to do this. Like, it just gives it a bit more of that starry look to it that I like really. It just gives it that starry look that I like really well. So I just go through and add just a little bit. I'm just adding some glitter to this now. Just a few pinches here and there. And I'm also going to add a little bit of red too, since I've got that phoenix look to it. Now, it's going to cause some divots and some butt bumps and things like that, but that's okay. Okay, so I've kind of went ahead and moved this out a bit, just some of the little divots. Okay, I think I'm happy with it. And that's all it is. And you can completely customize this to any way that you want. If you want to add a bit more stars to it, when I say stars, I mean, glitter. If you want to add more glitter to it, you can. If you want to add, more alcohol inks to it after this first coat, you can. I mean, like I said, it's totally up to you how you want to customize this. And you don't even have to add the mica powders too if you don't want to. Like, that's what I love so much about this particular Galaxy tumbler is you can do whatever you want to with it. There's no right or wrong reason. There's no right or wrong way to do it, and it's fantastic. It's just fantastic. So after this dries up, I will be sanding it down and adding another layer of epoxy to this. And then after that, if you want to add any decals to it, you can do that at that time. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Try it out, give it a whirl. If you have any questions or concerns about it, just feel free to reach out to me, to message me. You can find me on Facebook. My name on Facebook is Rella Wonderland. And just send me a message, and if you have, like I said, if you have questions or you're not sure where I got certain products from, like if you missed that or I just didn't say it, just reach out to me and just ask. I am more than happy to assist on how to make this. So, but I think that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video here. Like I said, if you have any questions, just reach out.